breakfast on Smooth 98.1, and welcome to the rest of the world as well. It is 45 minutes gone past 6 today, Tuesday, the 9th of October. We've got 15 minutes to blitz through the world of business, and joining me in the studio this morning to help with just that, I have 1/3 of the Horsemen. Bolarinwa is here. Good morning, Bolarinwa. How are you?
Good morning, Folu. Good morning, Lagos.
Excellent. Always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Now, Lagos and the world, do remember to join us in conversation. You can send in your questions, your thoughts, and your comments, either by going over to our WhatsApp number and sending us a WhatsApp message. That number is 0809 444 0981. Add us to your contact list. Or you can tweet at us. Just use the hashtag BusinessExpress981. Now, the first thing we're going to do is talk about stock markets activity over the past week. We know that the month of October has been a little bit rough starting off in the stock market, but tell us what happened in the, what's gone on so far.
Okay, so the market had a sigh of relief yesterday with a positive performance, closing at with an upside of 0.19%, leading to a close of 32,444.96 points. That was driven by bargain hunting performance in the market. So we found a situation where investors went bargain hunting. I haven't seen that a lot of stocks have taken a lot of hit in the past month. We really saw that the market had a rough in August, August, September, and so this may just be that the market is may just have a marginal upside this month, but not too certain, because the uncertainty in the market still remains, especially with the twist that we got over the weekend with the emergence of the PDP contestant.
Yes.
So really, we are likely going to see the market toe the path of what we saw in 2014, 2015, where the market went really south and it began to recover immediately after the elections. So investors may just position themselves for a feel-good season at this time. For those that are already in the market, sorry about it. For those that would take advantage of the beaten stocks, that will be a huge one for them. We saw Unity Bank, Nimet led the top gainers, while John Oates and Guinea Insurance led the losers chart. So altogether, I think it was a huge sigh of relief for the market yesterday. Some
positivity coming in there. Thank you for that, Bolarinwa. When you said bargain hunting, though, my brain just started going. I was like, yes, perhaps this is the time for such. Perhaps.
Well, you may just commence now and over time average out. But some people may want to wait a little bit more
and just see what happens.
Okay,
thank you very much for that. Now, speaking of seeing what happens, we do know that relatively recently there were about 6 companies whose shares were suspended from trading with the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I mean, what's going on with that?
Okay, so this is another move by the regulator, the Nigerian Stock Exchange regulators. Really trying to put some sanity in the system. So about 6 companies have been were suspended yesterday from trading, and that is largely because they flouted the rules of the market, which requires them to turn in their numbers on a quarterly basis. Most of these 6 companies have really gone out of what is expected of them. So we have a situation whereby they were initially cautioned with fines as a deterrent, but there's been persistent delay in releasing their report, and so NSE had to take the last option, which is suspending them from the market. So until they are able to make this result available to the market, NSE is not going to restore them back
to trading status. Okay, Lagos and Nigeria and the world, for those of you who are wondering, the companies we're talking about: DN Tire and Rubber PLC, FTN Cocoa Processors PLC, International Energy Insurance PLC, Thomas Wyatt Nigeria PLC, Union Decon Salt PLC, and Unique Diversified Holding PLC. But I have a quick question just before we move on from this, Bolarinwa. Is there a cogent reason why perhaps they may not have complied with this? Have we maybe heard anything from these companies, or is it just bad backbencher behavior? Where you're like, they're not going to do anything.
Well, the truth is, it's just like a child. When you're coming from, you've done your assessment for the period and you're going home with your result booklet. You don't. If it turns out to be a fantastic result, even at the gate, there will be the scream from the child to let the parent know that the result is fantastic. I'm just saying that if the results were fantastic, this
will
result
not be begging them to.
So it's really an indication that the result is not in a shape that they would like to show to the market. And I think NSC has really done well, because for investors, ordinarily you expect to see results so that you would take decisions.
Yes.
But without results in place, then it's going to be difficult for you to make those decisions. And this speaks to corporate governance. These are institutions that have their board in place, and you find this kind of behavior from a listed company of this nature. So I think this is the right decision by the NSC.
Thank you very much for that.
And most of the stocks have really taken a hit this year. You've seen some of them, about 4 of them have done about 60% south this year. So.
Okay. Corporate governance just checks there. Okay, now from shares that are getting suspended to trading shares of a new company looking to list on the stock exchange. What's the story behind this company, Skyway Aviation, that we just see sort of coming out onto the scene?
Okay, so Skyway Aviation is seeking to come to get listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and this and a ground handling company.
Yes, and we see their little signs around the airports.
Yes, so their direct competition is NACO. This company has done so well. Looking at their historical performance, this was a company that was a subsidiary of the defunct Nigerian Airways. This speaks to the fact that businesses thrive well when the private sector drive them. The Nigerian Airways is no more, is long buried. But you'll find a subsidiary that was privatized still existing and has gotten to the level that they deem it fit to go on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Companies like this thrive on the performance of the airline operators. So because when there's increase in air traffic, definitely there's going to be increase in their own performance, because they deal with both cargoes and passengers. And so this is a positive one for this company. NACO, being their competition, is already listed, so I think that they are just seeking to join their peer on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Well, it makes sense, but you're right completely. That's what happens when you allow businesses the correct environment to grow and thrive. But speaking of defunct Nigeria Airways, let's talk about minimum wage, because that's been a huge discussion in the media over the past couple of weeks. Now what we're seeing, the news that's coming out, is that the federal government is now set to announce a new minimum wage. They say the tripartite committee has completed its assignment somehow in 2 days, what wasn't done throughout this year. But we don't know what it is yet. But they say, oh no, within the week we're going to let you know. What are your thoughts on this new minimum wage?
Well, looking at the story, what jumped at me was the energy and the excitement with which the president of the NLC was speaking about the expected wage. Though he didn't give the actual figure, but he was excited that it's going to, workers are going to be happy when this is finally announced, approved and announced by the federal government. 18,000, moving from 18,000. Let's hope that it's something that's going to come out as good news to the workers. But on the flip side, if you look at the performance of especially the state government in the last
that's what I was waiting for.
In the last few months, they have been struggling to even pay at 18,000 minimum wage. they may consent to this, but the concern will be the actual implementation of whatsoever is agreed. So I hope it's going to be a win-win at the end of the day. Yeah, oil prices are back up, but this will, if they are going to ramp up wages in tandem with the increase in oil prices, it means that we are still going to have issues with infrastructure investment, which is really what drives growth in an economy. So I really hope this is going to turn out well for the nation at large.
I mean, another interesting thing is there seems to be an emphasis in the story where they say, you know, they want to thank the organized private sector and man for their resolve to pay the new minimum wage, almost sort of implying that, well, as for the government, well, I don't know. I find that quite curious. A few messages have come in. Cruz asks, first of all, it says, Biko, have Nigerian Airways staff now been paid their outstanding benefits? Cruz, we know that the government said that they will pay them. That's all that we know for the moment, unless you know something different.
No, not at all. They will.
That's where we exist.
The will is there, boys.
Let's
the
see
ability
when.
there.
While we have Sharif Larewaju from Opik Estate in Ogun State. Sharif, thanks for messaging. He's actually going off on a different tangent. He wants to understand the authenticity of cryptocurrency because the CBN website warns Nigerians against it.
Well, the CBN is the authority when it comes to things like this. They've had several circulars churn out to issue warnings to both operators and individuals that are looking at investing in cryptocurrencies. They've issued a stand warning for them to beware.
Yes. So beware. That's the official word on that. Wagbenga Kamu sent in this message on WhatsApp to say any new minimum wage increase is going to have an adverse effect on the country. Expect plenty of defaulters. And Yinka says, we are hinging the minimum wage on increase in oil prices. So what happens if it crashes again? We'll wait and see, Inka. Thank you so much for that. Very quickly, in the final couple of minutes, the finance minister, I know she's a new finance and overseeing minister, finance minister, wants CBN and NDIC to prosecute directors of defunct Skye Bank. We're talking about Mrs. Zainab Ahmed. She's urging the central bank and the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation to go ahead and prosecute directors that led to the collapse of Skye Bank.
I completely agree with her.
Okay.
Because you can't be using taxpayers' money to bail out irresponsible practice by operators. So the government had to step in to save Skye Bank, because depositors' money would have gone down the drain if they had left that company to die a natural death. But what money are they injecting into the bank? It's taxpayers' money. So you need to go after these guys that mismanage the bank. But my own concern again still comes back to the regulator. Why will you wait till the bank gets to this big hole that you have to call on the government to step in before you step in? Moreover, you do an audit of this institution on an annual, on a regular basis. So what then happened?
That we got into this situation.
Is there going to be any penalty for the people who had the oversight for this institution before it got to the stage? I think it should be holistic.
All right, Bolarinwa, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's all the time we've got for Business Express. Please do stay with us, Bolarinwa. We appreciate you. Just go out and enjoy the rainy day and just be smooth. Okay, coming up next, we've got some great music lined up for you. This is Smooth 98.1. We are your Love Music, Love Life station. And don't forget that at 7:30, we go into detailed newspaper analysis inside of Freshly Pressed. Good morning.